This you? Writers.
Was poppin', was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the live show. First and foremost, of course, please like, share, comment, get active in the chat if you're watching this live. Please and thank you. It helps the algorithm. We are at 17K subscribers right now on YouTube because of y'all. And so we love and appreciate all of you and all the help. Of course, episode 163 dropped today. Pretty much the psychology of branding and business. We called it something better, but pretty much it's the psychology of branding and business. Super dope. Go check out that episode. If you already listened to it, type in 1 or I heard you, right? Type in 2 if you plan on to listen to it after this live or this replay or whatever you're watching this on. Moose, how we feeling?
Man, feeling good. Had a really good productive day today. Things are well, which is always good things, man. I'm excited for this conversation though. I'm actually I got a couple questions lined up. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna really come and dive into what Nick thinks about this, because I think this is going to be a pretty interesting turn of events in the social media space. Possibly, I don't know, but yeah, we shall see, man. It's gonna be a good time.
I intentionally didn't necessarily watch the clip so it can get my live reaction.
Oh, that's
what
good.
I did,
that's really good then.
Yeah, what I did was transcribe it so I can get like the title and all that great stuff. Know what to put on the thumbnail, but I didn't necessarily, like, I watched a few seconds of it. I was like, okay, I'm not going to, because I feel like
see where
that
this is going.
Yeah. I feel like I see why he wants to go about this. So let me hear it. But set it up for the people.
Yeah, man. So I came across this clip online last week. I was just, checking out some stories and someone shared this clip. And this is a video by Karen X, who has a pretty well-known brand or a pretty great following online. She was doing a presentation at Adobe's conference or whatnot. And she was basically talking about her new method in approaching social media content specifically so that she doesn't burn out. And she was sharing her strategy or her perspective really on what is one method of posting that is consistent and probably the one that's most talked about, and what that does versus this other method that she's now after and what that is doing for her. So I was like, all right, yeah, let's chat about that, because I'm sure, especially around this time of the year, people are entering last few months, holidays. There's a lot going on. We've talked about this in the past around trying to balance your business and your brand around the holidays and all the family responsibilities that might come up. So I said, yeah, this is going to be a good conversation, because this is going to be the one to help the people get clarity on how to navigate the space. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Well, let's see what he's talking about.
The key to being successful on social media is consistency. Post every day. The algorithm will reward you if you feed it every day. It's exhausting. Feels like I'm running on a hamster wheel. You post something, the algorithm gives it 24 hours, then the attention is gone, and then you're supposed to do it over and over and over again. I want to share something that helped me get off the hamster wheel. Seek respect, not attention. It lasts longer. There's videos that people have made that I remember a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later. I respect those artists so much. Those are the artists that I'm always trying to hire. And then I see some low effort content, and I don't even remember who made it a day later, even if it got millions of views.
The live reaction. Now, granted, she did use the term artist, so I don't know if she's talking to a specific demographic of people in the industry, but just the approach, because I know there's how many times are you asked that question? Should I post every day? Is it more? Is it better to have quality or quantity? This is interesting. So let's see what's up. Kat in the chat. Shout out to Kat. Kat said, I want to speed her up.
Well, I actually
1.5 speed for the people.
right. I actually want your reaction first of why you wanted to talk about it before I go. I give my take.
Yeah. So really for me, and I think my thought process on this is pretty simple. There's always I approach everything with an inside out approach first, right? So the first is the personal development that needs to happen, or the self-development that needs to happen to allow you to achieve the big goal. Let's just call it the thing that you desire most. What needs to happen to you personally so that you can become the person that is capable of achieving that thing, right? Or can handle that thing, however you want to look at it. So when I think about that, I know that there's some personal growth that needs to happen because she used that one word, the hamster wheel. And I remember there was a point in my career, probably about 4 years ago, where I felt that my day was not productive until I posted something, right? So every single day, the thought was, oh my God, what am I going to post? What am I going to post? And I didn't have quite that handle on, or the maturity on, all right, how do you navigate that in a way where it doesn't disrupt the rest of your day so that, but you're still growing your brand in the process, right? So I think there's a lot of growth that happens to that. There's maybe the professional growth in you learning how to create. So whether you're studying or researching or learning how to reproduce that in a content format or schedule that works for you. So there's that, that personal development side. But then there's also the business side, which I really want to jump into maybe in a little bit more detail, because we've been talking a lot internally about what's the downfall of a very available brand, right? When people can count on you to know that you're always there, and how that impacts it specifically from a business standpoint, right? I think a brand that's always available for the people, you love it. You can count on it. You know it's going to always be there. But when you talk about trying to grow or scale financially or from a business standpoint, the available brand doesn't always, I want to say, it's not taken as serious. And not that they don't like you as a person or your brand from that standpoint, but just like, yo, if I don't catch you on this event, or if I don't, see you here, it's okay. I'll see you again the next day. You're going to come back. I mean, that's what you built your brand around. So I really wanted to talk about it from that standpoint, because I think there's a point in everyone's career where being super available is great, but then at some point you got to go into Jay-Z fake retirement mode and be less seen publicly so much, so that when you do come out, people are like, okay, hold on a second. I have to take this serious because there's a whole plan behind it. So at first glance, that's really what I started to think about when I saw this.
Okay. So first and foremost, I think first reaction is, who said consistency means every day, right? So when you kind of preference it with, okay, consistency and post every single day, they don't go hand by hand, right? TV shows are consistent. They show up once a week for a season, right? Tax season is consistent, shows up once a year. You know what I mean? Like birthdays, once a year. There's certain things based off your schedule, based off what you've committed to, is what is considered consistency. Now, society, social media society, not the actual brand, but there has been multiple messages of talking about, post every single day. And to some, that's realistic. Some, that's unrealistic. To me, I can do that every single day. I don't find it such a trouble. To others, some people could do 5 times a week. Some people can do 3 times a week. Some people are just like, yo, once a week. Now, of course, it always goes based off how fast you want to grow. Is this primary, source of traffic or source of income? Is it that? So then there's different reasons and different goals of why you're consistent the way you are. So you just have to be realistic with that. Like, there are people who are launching something and then just want to show up a few times a week and then wonder why sales ain't the way that it needs to be. Well, in a certain season, you may have to show up more than you feel comfortable with. Absolutely. Right? Now, when it goes to the respect one, first off, I didn't think that bar was so deep, but I'm not the crowd. I'm not the audience. They were like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm here for this.
They felt
right?
that.
Right. They really did. I was like, okay. I mean, it's a good bar, but yeah, here nor there, right? I do understand that you want to get to a point of the respect. Absolutely. But do you honestly think that the respect comes from showing up randomly or when you want to? Or when you deem that the content is good enough? Right? Not every shot that you put up is going to go in. So not every piece of content is going to be fire. So the fact that we may have to sit and wait because the quality may not be all the way up to par, I feel like you lose out on certain opportunities. Opportunities can be from the standpoint of getting eyes from a new person, from a new country, getting impact as far as somebody really receiving what you have to say that day. And you're stopping them and they really need that particular message, that particular product, that particular service, whatever it is. So I feel like you lose certain opportunities because you are going back into the day of where Mystique was so amazing. If you haven't realized, Mystique works for celebrities and none of us are there just yet. Is a fact.
Yeah. 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 And definitely, I want to make sure I distinguish this early on, right? Because I pointed out that she talked about in somewhere towards the end of that video, she says, I hire artists, who have the ladder, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know what demographic of people she's talking to. In this case, we're talking about specifically personal brands. And I know that the content burnout or the creation and the social media burnout, it's a real thing. There's a lot of people who have dealt with that or are dealing with that. You don't really learn your ways until you've gone through a season or two of those, and then you start to find your tempo, the thing that works for you. And I love that you say that, right? Because consistency really is more so a frequency thing than it is a concept of doing something every day. But I do want to ask you, what's the path to getting to quality and quantity? Because I realize that when we're talking about a personal brand, because I saw someone in the comment talked about what did they say? Oh, I'm not sure about that. Looking at Walmart and Amazon, and it's true for big retailers. But again, in this case, we're talking specifically personal brands. So thinking about that, I know that there's an element of connection that happens through the not highly produced videos, right? She talked about, the low quality or whatnot. So I know there's a deep element of connection that people gain from that over time. But talk about the ultimate goal for everyone. What are some of the ways that people can get to great quality and quantity? Because I know that once I learned how to create content around the things that I'm already doing, the burden of social media became significantly lighter. It wasn't there. So what am I going to post? Or, yeah, you're still debating what parts of, let's say, maybe the live that you want to clip and highlight or whatever it is. But once I realized that there's a method to the madness of being able to use or produce both quality and quantity without the stress that some people feel it should have, that really unlocks some things for me. So yeah, give me some insight from your perspective. What are some ways that someone who's watching this and is saying, all right, cool, like I'm trying to find my rhythm, my frequency of what consistency will look like for me, but I also want to have a pretty consistent quality. I mean, the great thing about a lot of our technology now, whether you're using a DSLR or you're using your phone, you're still getting pretty good quality content nonetheless. I mean, the video quality at least is going to be great, especially if you set it up the right way. Audio, again, questionable, but with some of the editing apps, I even think that is not really a big deal now either. But yeah, for someone watching this for the first time and thinking about, all right, how do I achieve that balance of quality and quantity at the same time? What's your thought process or approach for making that happen?
So it's a compromise, right? It's a compromise between how we feel in our creativity and then also what the audience and the platform needs, right? We have to remember that we're on borrowed land, digital land, as well as our brand is not for us. It's for the audience. But also, this is our brand. And we have a certain kind of vibe, creativity, and standards that we would like to uphold. There's nothing wrong with either side. So it's about kind of dividing it into, I could at least bare minimum do 2 videos, do 2 graphics, do 2 whatever your form of content is that is based off my level. One that is based off my level. So it could fill your cup. But then also understanding that there does have to be a play of, I do have to serve the people. I do have to show up. I do have to not create, like I call, digital abandonment and only show up when I want to and not necessarily when they want me to, right? And that once again, that doesn't necessarily mean every day, but that does mean sometimes you may just have to grab your phone and do a behind the scenes. Grab your phone, go live. Grab your phone, maybe take a quick picture. Grabbing the phone and making it feel a little bit more organic creates a deeper connection where the quality creates the brand standard. This is who you are. This is your vibe, right? And both can go viral. Both can hit numbers out of anything. But you don't want to lean so much to one side or the other. You want to have a balance of, listen, I do this. I got style. I got a vibe. But I also understand the connection that I must make with you in order for brand loyalty, for community, for engagement. I know I have to do certain things as well. And these are the types of responsibilities that I have to pick up as being a brand, as being a business owner turned content creator on these social media platforms. So when we're talking about the quality and quantity, it's just compromise.
Yeah. Do you see? I'm wondering if there's going to be an adjustment in the social media landscape with the rise of AI and just tech overall. Like, are more people going to be inclined or just engaged with their own technology that they will interact with social media differently? Or do you think there's actually going to be more social media usage because technology is going to be so almost involved in our lives? Like I'm seeing, and I don't know if you saw this, I'm sure you did. this whole idea that the next wave is now going to be taking the cell phone away and giving us technology that allows you to connect with things around you without the actual phone. I'm like, okay. So
You mean like the humane pin?
yeah, exactly that. Yep. So
I bought
and
it.
I'm just like, wait, so no screen. Maybe that's where the glasses come into play, so that you can still be able to, because I can't imagine being quote unquote interconnected with the world, but without a screen or having that visual aspect or
there's no
element to
screen.
it.
There's no screen to that thing at all. There's no glasses, no nothing.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying though? Like, I'm just thinking, how does that innovation, or like that stretch of, okay, let's speed up technology to go in this direction, how does that change the landscape of social? Do you see people using it more as a result of something like that? And again, I know this is early on, and it won't necessarily, I don't know that it's going to pop, right? It's just an idea that's floating out there. But how do you see social media changing in the coming months, or the coming maybe next year, being that this technology is, flirting out there, like it's somewhere in the universe?
So there isn't anything necessarily out there right now, even with the humane pin. I bought it just to see what it's about. But there's nothing out there that's saying that social media is going to calm down. I think what is happening is that content creation with AI has gotten a lot easier. And so now people may seek more of who you are and more of you rather than what AI creates of you. So I do see a little bit of that happening, but I don't necessarily see social media kind of slowing down in any way, shape, or form, because there's not a clear sign. There's an attempt, and that's cute, but the reviews, the first impression in reviews are extremely up and down when it comes to hardware that literally takes away the screen and takes away certain apps. We're just too accustomed to it, and it's going to take quite a lot for us to get to weave off of the crack of social media. It's going to take a whole lot than a nice little cute little pin that I can see how many minutes I've been on this phone call. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know about that. So I don't necessarily see it slowing down. I don't know if it's going to pick up, but I don't necessarily see it slowing down in the next 2 years.
Any predictions of what will happen in the scape or in the landscape in the next, in 2024?
With social media, you mean?
Yeah. Specifically, just like I don't want to say what content will work and what content won't work, but just how people will engage with content and what will happen on social, in this next year.
Like I said, there's no true signs that social media will change within a year. There's nothing that's really happening that's screaming, go to this platform or do this type of content. There's not a real huge shift on that. Like the rise of AI doesn't scream shift from your let's say your normal situation with social media. What the rise of AI says is, hey, the ideation side is going to not be so hard. The creation side is not going to be so hard. The distribution side is not going to be so hard. So eliminating excuses and freeing up time. Plus some other cool stuff may pop up, but yeah, I can't, like I said, within a year, nah, nothing. I really don't I'm not even going to sit here and lie and be like, it's going to do this. In a year, there's no peaks of, there's a huge thing. Like, we still don't even have a TikTok ban. I mean.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't even have a TikTok ban. Like, things are the same.
Yeah. Yeah, people in the comments don't seem to be feeling this pen though. They're like, yeah, no, we not rocking with the pen.
Listen, I bought it just to see what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When does it come out? What's I didn't know that it was officially out there or available. Yeah.
So if you are on the waiting list, then you are able to kind of pre-order it now. It doesn't come out till early of 2024, which I'm not excited about because that wasn't a small stack of change to wait till 2024. But I mean, for me, it was a more of a strategic move to buy and just to be more understanding and hands-on with this AI wearables side of things. So it wasn't because, oh my God, I like it and this is great. The one thing I'm looking forward to is that Pro Vision. That Apple Pro Vision, I am excited about. I'm going to get that one ASAP. But for now, it's really like, I gotta test out the AI waters to see exactly where we're going. And if it is worth, like, first impressions, I wasn't really necessarily impressed. But we will see. Once I get hands on and see what it does, we'll see.
Yeah. I do think is a spatial video, right? That's what the Vision Pro is going to allow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't know how immersive. I can just imagine, like feeling like you're in the space and able to look around. So that's going to be pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think that's going to. I mean, Apple is Apple. I'm very curious of why Apple hasn't really done anything in the AI space yet. That's what I'm very curious about, of why. And I mean, if I had to guess, it would be more of they are scoping. I mean, everything. And I had this conversation with 19 Keys this weekend where everything before was definitely more beta, right? We're just starting to come out with AI stuff. And so here is a taste of what it can be. This has potential. A lot of the things that are out have a lot of potential. But now we're starting to see things like with the GPTs that are making it a little bit more possible. Runway ML, having a little bit better graphics and videos and that whole nine. So we're starting to see what it can be, but we're still not close. Still not close.
On the wearable side?
Yeah. So prime example with the Ray-Bans, right? The Ray-Bans Meta, the smart glasses. They're cool. Their video is dope. Taking the pictures dope. But talking to Meta AI is not necessarily a conversation. I can't ask a follow-up question just by talking to it. I would literally have to continuously say Meta AI, blah, blah, blah. Meta AI, blah, blah, blah. Like it just wants to hear its name. It's really special. Like I'm not always going to call your name. But, and then there's this other one that I pre-ordered that is going to record everything that's being said and have it stored into an app. Let's see how that goes, right? Like, where are we going with these wearables? I'm not sure. Low key, I really just want my Apple Watch to have FaceTime. That's all I want. Yes. Yeah. I don't want to grab my phone all the time. I want to be, hello. Okay. Yep. I'll be right there. Boop. But I'm a FaceTime person. Like,
maybe Apple is waiting on that move then. Maybe it's like that's going to be, I mean, I don't see how that is AI necessary, but I could, maybe that's up there,
But
sleeve
where's Apple
somewhere.
with anything with AI? But like I said, I feel like they're waiting to see where things are going, what is happening in the landscape, and how they can kind of pretty much take over. And not necessarily take over, but like, how do I brand it better? Because that's all Apple does is brand things better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point though. I didn't think about that because I mean all the big players are in the space, obviously Google, Microsoft, and that partnership between OpenAI and Microsoft. So a lot of the key players are in the space. Apple, to your point, has not really jumped on that bandwagon just yet to say, all right, here's Apple AI. You know, like they've stayed out of the race. And not for a shortage of money, that's for sure. I mean, we all know they're sitting on tons of cash, so that's got to be
Not
interesting.
most counting their pockets.
Not at all. I mean, it's just, I'm just saying, they make it's public record. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, we know Apple got extra cash in the bank just hanging out, so that's going to be interesting.
Listen, I just would like to see where Apple goes with AI. I feel like they would take it to a whole new level. I like what Meta's doing. I like this wave for them more than they did with the metaverse. I feel like they're just embracing AI just a little bit more, and it feels a little bit more organic. I mean, ChatGPT just said, screw all y'all third-party chatbots and everybody who tried to build a company on top of us. We just crushed that. Goodbye.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. That was, yeah. The fact that, but I mean, it's to be expected. You know, I personally have seen. There's one company in particular who was starting to teach people, like that's what they built their business model around. It's like, hey, let's help us. Let us teach you how to, integrate the Chat GPT and kind of build it into your business, if you will. So I was like, man, that's crazy. They just one move overnight, you know, your business is pretty much gone as a result of that. So that was
It's
I
weird.
don't know, just savage, straight savagery. Like, yeah, nah, that ain't happening.
Yeah, it's very weird, but you know, hey. Speaking of ChatGPT, real quick plug. My LinkedIn course is live.
Hey, come on.
My LinkedIn course is live
That's
about
awesome.
ChatGPT. So anybody who wants to check that out, let me get the link. I got the link somewhere. But anybody who wants to check that out, it's free 99. Hello. Don't cost you nothing because it's LinkedIn, and LinkedIn wants you just
Okay,
on.
LinkedIn.
Right, LinkedIn just
See
wants you
you.
on the joint. Just hello, please like me. So I'll put that in the chat and in the description later. You know what I mean? But shout out
I
to
like that. That's fire.
yeah. It's a ChatGPT, like content creation with ChatGPT. Something to that effect. That I did that a long time ago. So shout out to LinkedIn. They were like, we're gonna make sure ChatGPT is here for a while. Oh, it's still here? Okay, here you go.
No. Oh, they still crushing companies? Okay, yeah. Let's
Oh,
let's
okay,
let's
all
make
right.
sure
We can put this
yes,
out. No problem.
go ahead,
You know what I
make
mean?
sure. Get
We put
FaceTime on this.
right. You're right. But okay, so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So at what point did social media stop feeling like a hamster wheel for you? Or does it still feel like it?
No, honestly, it doesn't feel like a hamster wheel now at all. In all transparency, I think what's happening in the world right now is so close to home, literally, in every way, right? That it's a little bit strange navigating the social media waters right now because of that. Just because of, what's happening with the war and everything there. So I don't want to say I'm being careful, but I'm growing through this process because there are just other things that are taking priority right now, at least, with that. But this past year especially, it has not felt like a hamster wheel at all. Just because I found out, and I give so much credit to this concept of repurposing content, because once I realized that there are things that you're already a part of or things that you can create to help make your content creation better, it was game time. I remember there were times, and I'm sure those of you listening, you've had this experience. You ever had a conversation with a friend and you guys just going deep, maybe for like 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, and then you say, man, I wish this would have been recorded. I know somebody's had that reaction. I mean, Nix and I had a lot of those conversations. We'd be like, man, this should have been recorded. And then with the rise of podcasts, YouTube, lives, everything that's happened, it's okay, well, rather than just waiting for that to be recorded, why don't you plan it? Why don't you schedule it? Why don't you build or integrate it into your brand and be mindful? So the minute I started to realize that I can pull my content out of those conversations, because quite honestly, social media is only difficult when you're not comfortable on camera. Yep. Everyone in the beginning of their content creation journey, they have their normal voice and then they have their camera voice, or their when the camera's recording voice, or when they know they're being recorded voice. It's a lot, just literally just like the flight assessment, the natural and the adaptive. And so the minute I started to see, okay, I don't have to, I'm not the guy who can bring out their best when they know they're being recorded. I'm the guy who is just passionate about doing the work, who genuinely loves to help and build. I'm so fascinated by building things, right? Or being involved in the development of something. And that really usually happens behind the camera, right? Or not when the lights are on. But if I can document that process or find ways to integrate it into the schedule or what I'm normally doing, I'm good. So what did that take? Investing in a camera, making sure that I'm recording. Just let the recording go. Well, this is not even anything deep. Just record, just capture it, right? Like literally just press record. So press and record on video and audio. The minute I started to see that, Nix, the final part of the process was just documenting what points I feel are in line with the messaging that I want to put out there, right? And giving the people that engage and interact with me online what they want to hear or what they, gain the most value from. And that's literally what I've done. So, I talked about I had that silly vanity metric of like getting to 10K just because I didn't want to see the follower number 9,568, and it's like just seeing all those numbers. I was like, I just want to see the digit, like the 10 point whatever. And that was my path. Like that was literally the only strategy that I used to get there. I posted probably way more content than I've ever done, and I pulled back. This was the big adjustment that I made since my last social media run. Was less on the stories, more on the feed. So the minute I made some of those adjustments there, that really helped significantly because I didn't have to act on the spot. It was like, no, acting on the spot calls for creative and you're thinking about all this stuff. For some, it's great. It's like, that's who you are. That's what you do. Go for it. But for me, I needed something that shows me working. And the most natural time in which I'm working, it's, during conversations similar to this one, during trainings, that's the piece. So that's what I've been now focused on to make it work. And then from time to time, just because I know how connection is important when building a personal brand, I'll hit record on the phone, like you said, just straight purposely from the car and not in an awkward angle where, you're seeing up my nose or anything, but just, eye level right there. And and just make it organic or whatever. So I think that for me has gotten me way off the hamster wheel. Like, yo, you good. Like that's what you do. And that's been a game changer.
That's dope. I like that for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it helps to hang out with you a lot, or have these conversations with you a lot. And it's like, all right, yeah, that's the way to make it happen. So
It sounds like
there it
you
is.
trusted the process, Moose. Sounds like you
I
trusted
did. I just took everything that we talk about on here and I just applied it. I said, you know what? Well, let me give this thing a try, and make it work. So it's been fun though. But honestly, it's been really fun connecting I know it's the process of branding, but I think about the marketing side of branding as well, like content marketing, and not just content branding. I know there's a difference between the two, but I just think of content marketing and infusing that into the business development process, right? Because like the business development side comes natural to me, and then the content piece was not. So the minute I started to weave those two together, I was like, okay, I found a connection, right? Like that's been a fun process for me. And I'm still honestly, in a lot of ways, still figuring it out. Like there were some things that we were in the process of planning for next year. And that's still like, all right, we got to test that part. Like I have an idea, but you never really know, how people will respond. That's why, low key, selfishly, I'll be on here asking you questions like, yo, so what's your prediction for 2024? I'm like trying to see like, yo, where is this thing going so that I can position myself there. But I see Kat and a couple people in the chat said, you haven't been live in a minute.
Facts.
And yeah, I pulled back from the live a little bit. Like I said, I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. Look, I haven't talked about this, at least not on the live. I don't want to kind of weave Nicky into this. And Nicky, I hope you don't mind. This has nothing to do with Knicks, but the war in Gaza is a big deal, man. Like that's a serious situation. So for me, a lot of things have been put on the back burner in light of what's happening over there, just because I'm in a lot of ways still figuring out how I can dedicate my efforts into making impact over there, and not just being another talking head on social, right? And unfortunately, the options are so limited that talking head on social is probably the only way to do anything, right? Which is just the concept of raising awareness and educating the people. And I've done that, but I also want to do it in a very specific way because I've survived 9/11, and I've said that one time. Somebody said, you survived 9/11. What does that mean? You were in the buildings? I said, no, I was not in the Twin Towers, literally. I'm just saying I survived, the 9/11 era of growing up in the city after what happened. So I know that there's a lot that needs to go into that. So that's really what it is as it relates to pulling back from the lives and just social as a whole. Right now, it's about figuring out that space. Me personally, I don't think that anything I say makes it seem as though I'm offending a group of my friends or anything like that. That's not what I'm concerned about. Like I said, you just get to a point you're like, okay. And shout out to the people who've taken this and ran with it, right? Because I've seen some people who I'm talking about, they have made it their business. They have rebuilt their brand almost around being a social media news reporter on what's happening over there. And I've seen their accounts grow significantly. When I say by hundreds of thousands, Knicks, like people surpassing the 1 million follower mark just off of this. I'm like, oh, shout out to you. If you're that passionate about it and that's what you want to do, great. But, that's not really something that I want to do publicly. So as a result of that, I've just pulled back because you also don't want to show up there. It's like, yo, so you're not going to talk about that at all? And that's like, in a lot of ways, that's your people, that's your faith. So I'm like, yeah, so that I don't have to navigate that battle. If I have something that's in line, I'll do it. If not, I gotta push. So yeah, that's how I've been that's where I've been the last, couple weeks with it.
I'm mad at that. Oh, I didn't do that. I'm mad at that.
Yeah. Have you ever had to navigate a space like that where something, I don't know, a cause or something that you firmly stand on or believe in is facing heat, or there's something happening publicly in the world, and even if you weren't necessarily impacted or you didn't allow it to impact your brand, has there been something like that you had to think about, all right, how do I navigate this situation as it relates to my posting online or my content? I know you're not going to talk about it, but I'm just saying, like, is there ever something that happened that you were like, I don't know?
I kind of lightly touch on certain topics if it's like on my heart, right? I think for the most part, majority of people don't have that expectation of, like, when political stuff, other stuff, like, they don't seek for me for, like, oh my God, what is she going to say? What I will say is I'll probably speak on how to navigate social media through those situations. So I have spoken about that for those people who it does feel heavy for them to speak on it. But for me, I think I haven't been hit just yet, because the world is not over, so there is more craziness that will happen. But I haven't been hit yet so much to where I don't know how to navigate on what to say or what to post. I'm always going to put my 2 cents in something, but not to the point where I'm like, I should not necessarily post. But I'm not closed-minded to think that it won't happen. Like, oh, I got this all together. Like, oh, some may happen and it may hit close to home that I'm just like, y'all gonna have to give me a minute. And I think it's just a matter of communicating, right? I have that line of communication with my audience and my community where I'm like, listen, y'all know this is definitely hitting me a different way. So if you just give me a few days to figure out how to navigate, I'm gonna come back. We got this, right? And it doesn't leave kind of doubts or assumptions up there, because what I never want is somebody to think they know what I think they know what I'm going through, anything like that, right? Especially when it comes to important topics. I never want anybody to assume where I stand. So I would probably give that type of communication in some way, shape, or form, and then come back through, like, because here's the thing, like, I'm not emotionally attached to posting every single day. I just enjoy doing that. But if there was something to come up that is like, sit your butt down, I have no problem sitting my butt down. I have none. You know what I mean? Like, but I will, for the sake of people are not used to that from me, for the sake of that, I would communicate in some way, shape, or form.
But I love that, though, because I don't want to say your answer has changed, but if you remember the George Floyd situation, we were actually still hosting this live with this show, but it was over on Facebook. And I always remember the video that you edited, and it was of the protest. Remember, like, how you really told a powerful story using clips of the protest and the music behind, like, you didn't verbally say something, but it made very clear what stance you hold publicly, right? And I always remember that, like, sometimes depending on your personality and your brand, you don't always have to be the one to speak.
Facts.
In those times. You can relay your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings using media. I mean, that's what social media is about, in a sense, right? So I always remember that example there in the video that you shared at that time. But I like that and I don't want to say that your answer again has changed, but in the sense that you realize with the growth of a platform or an audience and just the responsibility that brings, yes, you can say, hey, I don't want to talk about it, or I'm not going to talk about it, because we got on, I was on J. Cole's I guess, side. And I don't know if you remember that whole debate, but
It's our first video. I think I was
oh, for
on.
real?
Yeah, I think in Deeper Than the Brand, we were going over the Nicky and Moose journey, and we went over how the very first video on YouTube looked like compared to what it is now. Extremely dramatic, by the way. Extremely
Right.
quality, all that great stuff.
Right.
But yeah, no, I remember that because it's our very first video on YouTube.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, do you feel that your stance has changed on that concept of I'm not a politician or whatever it is? I just don't talk about that. Now that you have a larger following or a larger audience,
I
there's
see
a
where you're
level of
going
that.
with this.
There's the responsibility that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't plead the fifth and say, I don't know.
So no, I don't think necessarily. Wait, before I say I don't think my point changed. What was my point? What did I stand on?
Because that's funny. No, because you know how you were saying if he didn't sign up for that. Like you were saying that
Yes, okay.
too many people put that responsibility on
Yes.
the influencer, whoever, that you got to be our politician. It's like, no, I'm a rapper. So I'm just
Right.
saying, like, has your stance, yeah.
So, okay. So yes, so I kind of still stand on that. Hence why I said people don't necessarily expect me to talk about these certain things. Even with the growth of my platform, it's still not expected for me to touch on everything. Like, no one expects me to touch on the war that's happening. No one. That has not been a request, a desire, nothing like that. They know I wouldn't touch on that, right? There's just certain things that, because of how I've carried myself and branded myself, that responsibility is going to be not until super growth. You feel me? But still at that time, I'm going to communicate. If that time when people are expecting and requesting certain things that I may not feel comfortable talking about, it will be a communication of, this is not what I talk about. And I make that very clear when I'm on my lives, where it's like, shout out to Isaiah, who's now asking random questions. But I've made it very clear on my lives and things like that. I don't speak on those things. That's just not what I do. It's not necessarily that I don't care. It's just that's not me. I don't hold that much. How do I say this? I don't have influence on that. So I'm not going to pose myself to have influence just because I have influence. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm very, and it's crazy because I'm very, I will shut down the smallest topics. If I have no leg in the game with a certain topic, I won't speak on it. This weekend was a prime example, right? So I was in Boston at a speaking event with Trap, 19 Keys, this female named Tiffany. Now, Trap is about stocks and financial freedom. 19 Keys is just about everything educational, worldwide ownership. It's just, he's a wealth of knowledge. This Tiffany chick is an investor, and then they had me. I was like, why am I here? Right?
Right.
Why am I here? So my panel wasn't necessarily about social media, but more for like mindset and how you grew and things like that. I still added social media and AI stuff and that whole night. Still added that. But at the end, when they had all four of us on the thing, they started talking about land and ownership and all these different things. And you know what I did? I shut up. There was no need for me to talk. Somebody talked about building a team. Now I could talk about that.
Right.
No problem. I could talk about that. But the rest, they were like, Nick, do you want? No, I have nothing to add to this. And I'm not, and you could tell when somebody is just trying to like, let me just try to say something. You know what I mean? Like, let me put my 2 cents in it. But I am like, I stay in my lane. Like, that ain't it. This is my lane. I'm here for this. And I don't even know why you have me here. You just love me. I'm here for the love. Thank you. Thank you for loving me. But the rest of the talk, I'm not going to talk. But I'm here because you love me, for sure. But yeah, no. So those topics, I'm not going to speak on, regardless of the level of it. And I don't feel like people should be forced to. Now, granted, celebrities and all that great stuff, that's you are held at a higher situation, not by choice.
Yeah.
Like someone's going to hate on you regardless. So whatever.
For sure. Isaiah said that leadership answer though. That was great. What was the leadership answer? Tell us what the leadership answer was.
He knows. I have no clue.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. What is that? Yeah.
I have no clue. He'll clip it up, probably. He'll clip it up.
No, I love it. No, but I do got to agree with that, though, because I do think you're one of those people who's done a phenomenal job and it's one thing to say, like, yeah, I stay in my lane. It's another thing to come up against multiple quote unquote opportunities or pressure to switch and still say, yeah, but no. Like, yes, but no, thank you. I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to trust where this vehicle is headed. All right, so I think you've navigated that definitely multiple times. So shout out to you for doing that.
So Kat got a good question. Kat said, do you agree with Vlad? Should Khaled and Drake say something when it comes to what's happening overseas?
Yeah. So look, I mean, I can't speak for them, right? I've learned to not share my opinion in a way where I'm speaking as if I'm knowledgeable about those people's situation. And for those of you who don't know, I don't mind, somewhat throwing myself under the bus, but because the situation with Virgil, you remember that, Nix, when that whole thing came up with Virgil, and I was like, oh yeah, no, that's terrible. And then a couple months later, he passed, and I was like, whoa, like that was my learned lesson publicly, to never speak about someone's situation as if I am them or I am their, business partners. I was like, yeah, no, never again. So I think definitely here, I don't know what their, personal situation is, but I got to say the responsibility that comes with having such a huge platform, I do believe it's important to let people know your values. You got to communicate. Not so, if you don't want to communicate your stance, because I understand they're so connected on both sides, et cetera, but this is not, at something like this doesn't become a race issue. This is not a religion issue. This is about humanity. You know what I'm saying? So like when you see what's happening over there, and heck, when you see what's happening on both sides, at the end of the day, there are children who are being murdered. That alone should be like, whoa, hold up a second. Yo, I'm not for that. Like, I need to let my people know I'm against anything that is, taking of innocent lives. So for me, I just feel like they should have at least communicated their values. Now, whatever, I know that there are some political ties and all that stuff that's, wrapped in that. So it is what it is, but bare minimum, values got to be communicated. That's why even I don't know if some of y'all see it, and I probably should have turned it into a post, but I started reading the Quran a little bit closer because I had some questions with everything that was happening. I was like, no, I need to understand some things. And so I shared something on my stories where it outlined the rules of war according to our faith. Right? And I was like, yo, that's necessary, because if people are using my faith and that's their branding, right? Like, quote unquote, if you do something and you're using the faith that I believe in, and you're saying, yeah, I'm doing this in the name of this faith, then you've just taken my branding, like, in a sense, right? Like, you're branding my faith in a way that's not cool. I was like, nah, I don't want to just come off of straight emotion and saying, oh, no, man, that's not what we represent. It's like, no, hold on a second. I tried that. I actually did that post 9/11. I did that again in 2017. Like, I've been in this space multiple times. I said, now let me go to the book. What do the facts say? What is
the book?
What is it actually built on? You know what I'm saying?
Man, he put emphasis on that in the book.
Yeah.
I felt that.
Shout out to the mic. Shout out to the mic. Shout out to the mic. Shout out to the SM7B for making it happen.
I felt that. It wasn't a regular the book. It didn't flow like that. He's like, let me go into the book.
Yeah. The book. Yeah. So the good book, man, the good book has some really good things to say about, how do you approach war? You know, the most powerful thing I'll share here was like, people in our faith, we're not even granted the right to start a war. So if you are going to enter a war, it has to be in response to what was done to you. You don't start wars. So I was like, okay, people need to see this side of it, because you never see that on the news or on social. I just want people to know this kind of stuff. So, my approach with it has been different. So shout out to Khaled and Drake, man. Hopefully they do something right. I do believe, though, Drake did sign a letter to the president asking them for a ceasefire.
Yeah.
So I
do
do remember seeing some. Yeah.
And that's another thing. It's like, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, right? I find it, I'm going to say completely wrong, but we swear we know what a person is doing just because of what they post. We swear we know everything about them, everything that's going on, right? Man, let me see if they still in here. Every Day with H and K, right? I love them. It's a gorgeous, amazing couple that like just does the most funniest videos. They about to be creator of the week, to be honest with you. But and they'll see challenges and they'll try it together as husband and wife, but they were transparent about having a kid and how the struggles of that before, and then how they were able to have their first child, right? If you only see the front-facing value of their brand, you thought they were the happiest couple, had no issues, no nothing, but there was a lot of pain that was happening behind the scenes. And who's to say that may have affected their marriage and things like that? But we are here to just see the front face and, this is the perfect couple. Jada and Will. I'll leave it at that. I'll just put the horn and then keep it that way, right? I'll keep it that way. Yeah. But it isn't until the actual person, the actual brand is transparent enough to let us know or bring us inside of their world. I do believe that Jay-Z is doing a crazy amount of stuff behind the scenes, and we will not know until he is dead. God forbid. Okay. But there's a lot of things that people don't necessarily want to broadcast because they're not doing it for likes. So I can only hope that some of the high influence people that are affected by it based off their ethnicity, nationality, background, like I'm hoping behind the scenes they are able to do something. And until we are confirmed that they aren't or they are, I just leave it. For me personally, I leave it alone. I saw that Vlad thing. The Khaled and Drake just said, why? Why is that? Why is that? What do you think a post is going to do? When we really sit and break that down, Drake posting anything about it, what would that do? Do you sleep better at night to know that Drake is for the war or not for the war? Or do you sleep better at night? Like, what happens? Does that stop any of his sales? This man is about to go on tour again and probably take my money again. And does that stop his sales? No. And I need him to stop going on tour because I really don't want to spend another crazy amount. Did you see that, by the way?
I did not.
Him and
But
J.
I'm
Cole are
interested.
going on tour.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. See?
Wow. That's huge.
Right. And like, I'm like, you just got off tour. I don't want to see you again, but now you bring J. Cole and I want to see J. Cole. So now I have to question life. But they're going to like weird places, not weird, normal places that I wouldn't go to, like Denver and stuff. Like,
Cold.
hold on. So what? I never heard of a Sunshine, Florida. Who's heard of a Sunshine? I'm gonna find this. Where's Ricky P? Ricky P always has the. Let me see if I can find the tour dates. It's like the most random cities. I'm just like, why? Man, I can't find. Oh, I'm gonna find it. Go talk real quick.
Well,
find
Kat
him
said
quick.
Cole won't be on all the dates.
He won't
So
be
that's
at the
that's
end.
interesting.
Yeah, no, he won't be at the end, but he's going to be at. Did I repost it? I probably reposted and said, "Please stop taking my money." This is a fact. I know for sure.
No, that's fire though.
I don't know if it's fire. I just spend mad money.
Yeah. No, I'm saying
Okay, here we go.
They're yeah.
So we have Denver, San Antonio, Texas, Oklahoma City, New Orleans, Tampa, Florida, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Buffalo, New York, Kansas City, Memphis, Kentucky, Long Island, Belmont
Sounds like a lot
Park,
of college. Sounds like a
Right.
lot of college areas.
University Park, and Sunrise, Florida.
Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting.
I'm not for this. I'm not for this.
But no, I will say I do agree with what you're saying. If you don't got the answers to literally shift and make something happen, I don't think a social post does anything. I'd rather somebody be silent on social but use their dollars in the right way to actually bring about change. It's like that will make a bigger impact. So
That's a fact.
there it is.
Well, people, we appreciate you for chilling with us. We love and appreciate you. Go check out the new episode, please and thank you. The after show drops tomorrow. Look, people, hold on. Since you're still here, I'm going to put myself out there. First week of December, Patreon's coming. First week of
Accountability
December.
pledge.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna put that out there. I'm gonna let y'all sleep for Thanksgiving because y'all gonna eat too much. The following week, you're probably still eating, recovering. The first week of December, I feel like Patreon's coming, and we're talking about when did we start the after show? I was like,
It was 1 year into the podcast, so it's been 2 years now that we've been doing the after show.
2 years worth of content that you haven't seen. Okay, 2 years of early access to the episodes. It's gonna be a vibe. There's going to be a community. It's going to be a vibe. So, get ready for that. Get ready for that. It's going to be soup. You're going to look at this price. You're going to be like, well, duh, I support y'all. We do that.
Well,
you know what I mean? Duh.
Yeah.
It's going to be that duh price. You know what I mean? Like, we just try to keep the lights on over here. You know what I mean? We just try to keep the lights on. So it's going to be the duh price. Like, damn, of course. Wouldn't I?
I feel bad not doing this.
Right. Like, I can't continue to watch if I don't feel like I can do this. This is wild. So, yeah, Patreon's coming. We're excited about it. And then that's it, people. See y'all tomorrow for the video experience of episode 163 or whenever you're watching this. And then, you know what we're going to say.
Peace, y'all.